Hello, welcome back. This video is just a very spur of the moment thing. I watched James Snappiness's video this morning where he talked about what should Pentax's next lens be, yeah, I think he did a really good job. I think he was very sensible with his observations, and really to get that 15 to 135 updated with PLM, that would be a very good decision. As great as the 55 to 300 PLM is, it's not a star rated lens. It's not fixed aperture, so it's going to have its problems. And I think to get a fixed aperture, fast aperture 2.8, that 70 to 200 equivalent in crop makes sense, because they're this close to being a really good APS-C zoom system. For somebody like zoom lenses, that they've got the 11 to 18, they've even got the 20 to 40, which is not bad, and then they've got the 16 to 50 PLM. Let's just get that 50 to 135 just to complete it, and I think that makes a lot of sense. It ties in with something I've thought about doing as a video, and I wasn't going to really bother with it, and I've kind of brought it up on some forums elsewhere. But I think for me, it's not really so much that Pentax need to do. It's not really that I have a suggestion of what next lens Pentax needs to make, but more that they need to be a little bit more forthcoming, I think, for the future. Now that might sound a bit strange because we already know that they're committed to the OVF and things like that, but for people like myself who do shoot other brands, like I'm shooting on this Fuji right now, I did actually have a bit of a sad experience recently, because I actually sold 2 out of my 3 FA limiteds. So the 31 is the last FA limited that I have left now. Sadly, I've let the 77 go and the 43 to fund other things, and it is a bit sad because those are really special lenses for me, and not just for me. I think the entire photographic community realizes that these lenses are really, really special. You don't get a company like Monster Adapter making an adapter for Sony for basically these lenses. I mean, they might have had some footage of these, like with the adapter with the DA lens or something like that. But for all, intents and purposes, we know that they were really working for the FA Limiteds to work on Sony bodies. So these lenses, they are legendary. I mean, what Pentax managed to achieve with these lenses was really, really important. But if I've learned anything from going and switching on to Fuji, is that releasing new bodies also can mean that you also need to update the lenses. Everybody talks about how the K3 is so much better, K3 Mark III is so much better for autofocus, but really, how can it be that much better if you're sticking on the same glass that we're using with the K3 Mark II and the K3 Mark I and so on and so forth? So at the moment, the PLM is what I think is a defining aspect of improvement in autofocus. I mean, autofocus is a 2 combination. It's a body and a lens, and when you pair the 2 together, then you get a really good experience. So for me, I'm not really excited about another K1 Mark III coming out, because the lenses I love, they're just not updated enough. The FA Limiteds, they might have just had this HD coating, but it doesn't signal enough for me that Pentax are really actually serious about trying to maybe address some of their weaknesses, like their autofocus. You're not really, the best lenses that they have for the system, arguably, which are the FA Limiteds, they're still screw drive. So they've got this fantastic optical recipe, but they're not weather sealed. It's 2022 and they are still slow to focus. So it doesn't matter what bells and whistles the next K1 has, it's really going to fall behind expectations when looking around other systems. And for me, it's not really about what lens Pentax need to do next. It's just a little bit more of them to voice to everybody that they do have plans to update these things, that they are going to address some of these issues. Because for me, it feels like it's a bit silent. Even that new DFA 21 that's come out, that's a DC lens as well. I don't know. So, for me, I would like to see from Pentax a little bit more voice on where they're going with things, because I basically have made my Pentax now a landscape only camera, and I'm doing most of my portrait work now with my other system, Fuji. And it is a real shame, because in some ways I think my best work, my portfolio work, was done with Pentax, but it is extremely difficult. I'm not getting any younger, and the frustrations of at a real paid job of not having sharp focused in focus shots is annoying. It is really nice to use a mirrorless camera like the Fuji and never really need to worry about things being in focus. They just are. I'm not suffering from front back focusing, not hitting buffers, blah blah blah. But this is about lenses, and so for me, I just feel as though, you know, the problem with Pentax is they move at a snail's pace, and really I was so sad to hear that the FA Limiteds were getting this HD treatment and like rounded blades, and I just thought, really, that's it? Because I know what Pentax are like. I mean, it's 2022. The K1 came out 2016, and they jazzed it up a little bit with like a limited version, which is just basically cosmetics, a slightly different grip and hot shoe cover. And I know they need to get their money back on that nonsense. So for me, all these things are just like stop gaps to maybe the next thing, and it just takes them forever, you know, to go anywhere. By the time they do something, you know, like if Pentax weren't committed to the OVF and they were entertaining going mirrorless, they are still in OVF DSLR technology. There's still to catch up to what Canon and Nikon were doing before they left to go mirrorless. So at this rate, you know, we're looking at Pentax, you know, sometime in 2025 or 2028 going, yeah, I think we'll go mirrorless now. You know, so I don't know. So it's a difficult company for sure, frustrating at times. And all the reviews of these lovely DFA 50, DFA 85, they are stellar lenses. And obviously the biggest problem is that most reviewers are saying that it's just stuck on the K1, which is a little bit frustrating to use at time. Not from an image quality standpoint. These are incredible cameras. And this is why I tend to use the K1 and the 645D now as landscape cameras, because I can take my time and make sure I get that critical focus right. It would just be nice. I need something a little bit more confidence from Pentax moving forward to come back. If you want me to part with, you know, thousands of dollars for a new full frame body, I also need to know that you're going to give us some lenses that are really going to work and be taken advantage. And for me, that is PLM all the way. 1 second, I'll just show you something. Just back here with the 645D and the DFA 55, and the reason I'm bringing this one in is because this has really replaced my FA43. I get frustrated that, you know, there's no weather sealing for these FA Limiteds, and they're fantastic, and there's just a lot of FA Limited goodness that would work wonderful with specular highlights with rain, but where are these shots? They're nowhere, because no one's really shooting in the rain with these lenses or willing to risk it. So this camera here, this has a very similar field of view to a 43mm on full frame, and it's weather sealed and it's silent AF, and so it's a very versatile focal length. I could pretty much just do a lot of things on this one. So it wasn't really hard for me to say goodbye to some of those lenses, because it just felt as though I'd done all I could with them. And I think maybe there is a problem there of myself not really knowing how to commercialize and make money from some of the work that I've done in that respect. But with the Pentax stuff, but it's sad days to sell those gorgeous lenses. And the reason I've held on to 31 is I think it's just a little bit more versatile for landscape work. And yeah, I've even actually done some product photography shots for clients recently with it that were large scale. So, and I have the Takuma 50mm. I think that's here. Hang on, my place is a mess. Yeah. So this little fella here, you know, I think you've seen before. I often think of this as a cousin to the FA Limited. So that's a Takuma 50mm 1.4 8 element, and it's fantastic. And if I had to choose between the 43mm and this one, I choose this one, personally speaking. It does have more flaws, but I do absolutely love the rendering when it works. It works really well. So yeah, I think that's it. I think I'm rambling for about 9 minutes now, and I'll cut the video short of that, but that was it really. Let me know in your comments below what you think of that and what I've got to say. You probably have something else to say about the matter, but yeah, it'd be interesting to hear from your comments, and I hope that answers Snappiness's kind of question. All right, bye for now.